Welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker here with a green tea to present. Go ahead and get it started. This is a Chinese green. There's so many teas to explore. You can spend so much time learning about tea, and always find that there's one more that you haven't tried, one more that you haven't heard of. So this one, if you haven't heard of this one is a Biluochun. It's considered one of the classics of Chinese greens. So I've scooped out enough here to cover the bottom, say inch to inch and a half diameter of the bottom of my gaiwan here. Water's been brought to an early boil, started to rumble. You also hear discussions about water temperatures. I try to create a consistent water temperature for all the teas that I steep. Actually, need just a splash more because I want a little bit of water to rest above the rim of my lid. That looks good. Consistency helps with any kind of revealing both the strengths and the weaknesses of a tea. I find that green teas, black teas, most teas, when you increase the heat a little bit, better quality teas reveal fewer weaknesses. So it helps to uncover the true character of a tea with a little bit more heat. Now, introducing this tea, let me start with that. This is from Teavivre. This is their Biluochun. This is from the traditional area where Biluochun is produced. This is from the Dongting mountain area in Jiangsu province. There's a Dongting lake associated with that area as well. Sometimes you hear about the lake, sometimes you may hear about the mountain or the range around there. You can get a 14-gram sample, which is 2 7-gram packets, for $3.50. You can find harvest information. This tea was actually harvested 15 April 2014. So this is a spring tea. Going to go ahead and look at this tea now, talking about the dry leaf, the wet leaf, and the liquor. Starting off here, sniffing the dry. And this is a strong green sweet smell. This is a nice rich kind of cream spinach type of smell. Yeah, a slight toasty element, maybe a bit of a nutty, a very faint kind of cashew type note in there, but mostly it's that rich green sweet, maybe a little bit of clover blossom kind of sweetness going on there as well. Let me scoop out a little bit of this. Look at these. One thing I note, or one thing that you want to kind of consider when looking at different Biluochuns, is the amount of the tippiness, the amount of silvery white fuzzy tips, buds that are in. And this one, for example, has I would say a good 45 to 55% of this this spoonful I have here is a nice silvery white fuzzy down tippy aspect to it. The other is still a deep kind of a darker, richer green, moving over towards a bit of a darker green gray. And lengthwise or size-wise, a lot of these are an inch or less in length. Of course, they're twisted and they're kind of curled, so it makes it a little more difficult to estimate just what they would be if they were fully stretched out. But these appear to be quite young, tender leaves and buds or tips there. So that's a positive note, something to look for when you're looking at Biluochun. I'm going to move now into pouring this and moving to the wet leaf and the liquor here. I'll angle my lid over to the side so I can pour through. My middle finger and my thumb are kind of holding the bowl. Index finger keeps the lid in place, keeps that gap narrow, big enough that water flows through, the liquor flows through, but narrow enough that you don't get a lot of leaves slipping through either. Shaking out those last few drops there, and getting now to the wet leaf here. Give it a shake a little bit, let them settle back down to the bottom some. A toasty lima bean type of note is coming off That's the dominant note. Let me kind of see if these cool a little bit. Nuttiness now coming out, a bit more of that cashew type note picking up. Sweetness coming out a little bit. A sweet pea combined with maybe a little bit of kind of fresh green sweet asparagus coming off there now. Let me few leaf pieces kind of stuck to the lid here. I want to toss those back in and be more selective in what I pull out here. Leaf, an individual tip or bud there, for example, small, still connected to the stem, a bit paler in green color. What do I have here? A leaf, a mostly intact leaf. It looks like the tip of the leaf may have torn off. Not that easy to unfurl between my fingers, so it's very tightly twisted along the length of the leaf there. Another examples here, another leaf, and it looks like a tip was connected, maybe not connected there. Looks like something happened to that particular tip, but a young leaf still close to the tip there. Another tip needle there, a little bit larger than that first one, and here, let's see here, another young individual leaf with less stem attached to it. So as you will see, most of this, as expected, is young. You get some individual leaves, you get some kind of what looks to have been a leaf tip set at one point, and still connected to a little bit of stem portion there. A little bit more stem portion than I would have expected. But we'll see how it plays out in the character of the liquor here. Bright golden yellow color. Nice bright yellow there. Let me give that a pour. A little bit of sweet pea, a little bit of boiled corn sweetness, a hint of that cream spinach coming out that smelled in the dry leaf. Let me give this a sip now. Bright, still good color in the cup here. A nice smoothness, a nice, Biluochuns, as they kind of descend in grade or quality, can become quite astringent. This one is still, it's got enough of a astringency just to create a bit of a light, kind of soft, silken type of texture. Yet there's still the sweetness there that you could smell in the aroma of the liquor. Still a little bit of that kind of, a lot of the sweet boiled corn type is the dominant. You still get maybe a little bit of pea underneath that, sweet pea. Yeah, aftertaste. Still get the corn, the boiled corn. A hint of the nutty cashew aspect as well. As a green tea, green teas are not going to have the intensity, the power of aftertaste as, say, an oolong might. A lot of your general category of oolongs would have. But this one does have still a fairly relatively extended kind of silken feel in the mouth. A green vegetable, kind of like having finished a nice fresh green squash type of taste in the aftertaste there. So, looking at this tea, smoothness is the first word that kind of comes to mind. It's got a smooth character. It's not it's not overly astringent. It's just enough to kind of, again, create a silken feel. It's got a nice sweetness to it in that area of boiled corn. aftertaste moving more, a little bit more towards a kind of a nice, fresh green squash, tender young green squash. So it's got some nuance and character there in the flavor aroma profile. You know, I used fairly intense water, and yet it performed very well. So looking at this tea, I would have to give this one a higher score. I'm going to give this one a 92 because it comes off quite well. I pushed it a little bit, and it excelled. So come back to Walker Tea Review to come look for the teas that you can push a little bit, that will still stand out in their character and not flop.